everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be asking ourselves a question about, should we be happy when religion makes progress toward inclusion and being kind and good?
When religion gets something right, how should we feel about that?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel entirely clear to me. Like what my response should be.
Because if something's doing less bad in the world, should you feel better about it? I don't know. Anyway, we'll be getting to that.
We'll talk about it.
We'll get to that. Well, here's a story of a religious person, Dan, who in South Carolina, who she's got a cute little thing that she likes to do. She owns a shop, a little furniture store in Conway, South Carolina.
Okay.
And the article describes the kind of furniture as Southern and farmhouse styles. Okay. So I don't know that either of us would really be walking into this store and risk having inflicted upon us what she has chosen to inflict upon her customers, which is she hides little tiny crosses inside the furniture.
Oh.
Right? So that every home has a blessing of some kind, according to her. She gets her grandchildren. They run around the store and they hide little crosses. And she says, it just popped into my head. And of course, I'm sure it was Jesus talking to me. But he said, put one in every piece of furniture. So in every piece of furniture here, once we put it on the floor and get the price tag on it, we stick the cross in there.
That's awesome.
She says that one customer had been going through a really bad time in her life. And she bought the furniture and we delivered it. After we left, she was putting her stuff in her chest of drawers. She opened it up and there was the cross. And she considered it a sign. It was just a sign to her.
Yeah.
Says the owner of this store.
A sign to her of what?
That somebody had placed something.
That somebody
was foisting their religion upon unsuspecting customers.
Like, I get that she thinks that she's doing something nice. And yes, she's in a place where her religion is definitely the dominant religion and that will be received by most of her customers as a nice little thing.
Right.
But if other religions did the equivalent thing, like if a nice furniture owner who happened to be from the Satanic Temple, I don't think that people buying their furniture and finding a little pentagram inside or whatever, I don't feel like they'd respond well to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, totally. And it just, to be honest, like it makes me feel a little gross, right? The idea of somebody sort of forcing their beliefs and their religion on you in a context that's not religious, right?
Yeah.
Like and then I back off and I think, well, it's just hooey, right? It's just make believe. And so like, who cares, right? But but if you are a believer, right? Like this is but you're not her brand of belief, there's something that's a violation about it. Yeah. And why she can't see that, right? That she is violating her customers, right? And any sort of trust that you might have going into unless there are literally like crosses and crucifixes everywhere in this store, which, good chance there might be, right? And she's probably got a little cross around her neck. But unless it really says like Christian furniture store, right? Like, unless you're being that clear about it, I think it's a violation. Not one that I personally would like get too upset about because again, it's make believe.
Yeah.
But like, But if I put myself in the shoes of a Muslim or a Jewish customer, right? Like,
or even a Mormon customer.
Yeah, exactly. Mormons don't like crosses.
Mormons believe in Jesus. They love the same Jesus, but they don't like the cross thing.
Right. Because it reminds them of Jesus' death, Dan. Yeah. And they like to think of Jesus as being alive. Somehow that doesn't equate with or translate to other Christians. They have no problem seeing Jesus as being alive.
And if I found a cross in my furniture, I would be tempted to call up the owner of the store and be like, why would you put the murder weapon of my Lord and Savior in the furniture? Do you hate Jesus? Why would you put the murder weapon? That's what they used to kill him.
Trigger. It just triggers you.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Well, there you go. My whole shit is full of nothing but good news today. I want to talk about good news things. But
good. I have at least one bad one. So
I'm going to start with this one isn't good news, but this is so I'm starting with it, and then I'm going to work my way to better, happier, and happier thoughts. This one, God is dead. Apparently, just so that you know, and the way that we know
he
that
was
God
alive.
Is dead, what's that?
He was alive.
Oh, he? What are you talking about? He? I am talking about Mother God, the deity of a group called Love Has Won.
Oh,
this was apparently a very adorable little cult that has been that's been around for a bit. Mm-hmm. But Amy Carlson, who's 45 years old, joined this cult in 2006 and somehow ascended to godhood between that time and now.
Really?
She is Mother God.
As somebody who joined the cult.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Wow.
Apparently, some cults have a path to godhood, so that's nice. She's 19 billion years old. I said 45, but she's actually 19 billion years old. And a reincarnation of Jesus, among other people. Unfortunately, she was found dead, but not just dead. She was in a house in Colorado, and she was found mummified. She was not well mummified, not properly mummified, where, she would be well preserved for centuries. No, she was decomposing in a sleeping bag that had fairy like Christmas lights wrapped all around it. Her eyes were missing.
Oh no,
which is horrifying.
Oh,
and now 7 members of the cult have been arrested and charged with abuse of a corpse.
Oh God.
So,
but I mean, they wrapped it with Christmas lights.
Yeah, I think
that's
there was glitter.
Nice thing.
I think there was
glitter.
I think there was glitter. In one thing I saw that there was
feather boas.
They tried to make it nice. When your deity dies, you want it to look nice.
So wait, I don't know if I missed this detail. It was clear that she died of natural causes?
It's not clear.
Oh, okay.
We'll just there's probably more to come, though I doubt that you and I will get back to it. But you guys, the rest of you, can watch the wires for more further stuff about Amy Carlson, Mother God. She had she and her cult, some of her cult members went on Dr. Phil one time. Apparently.
Oh, really? Yeah. And what was his take? Was he like, "Oh, well, good for you"?
No, yeah,
you're a god. Good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some positive thinking.
You know what? Fuck Dr. Phil. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, he's wretched.
He was clearly a condescending asshole, is what he was. I watched like 2 minutes, which was all I could watch, because the two members of the cult that he had on were both just sort of giving him one-word answers to all of his questions.
Uh-huh.
So you think that she's God? Yes. Okay, so tell me about that. she's God. Okay, this is fun.
Oh,
anyway,
wow. Okay.
But yeah, Dr. Phil, he was being so condescending. He asked Carlson, he was like, because she was talking about how she has performed over 100,000 spiritual surgeries.
Oh.
Which is, it sounds exhausting. Actually, you know what's funny? That's exactly what he said. He said that must have been really exhausting. That must have been really hard. And it was just it was so condescending. But there you go. That's Dr. Phil.
How does one perform surgery on a... Well, you get your spirit hands and your spirit
get your
scalpel.
Yeah, exactly.
And, all right. Dan.
Yes?
I've got a story about some forced volunteerism, which, if that sounds like, that might be slavery.
Yeah. I was going to say
it might actually be. Apparently,
I feel like there are some other words for that. Yeah.
Apparently, a Hindu sect that was building a temple in New Jersey brought over a bunch of workers from India.
Okay.
Who they got into the country on R1 visas, which are temporary visas used for clergy and like lay religious workers, like missionaries. Okay. And they presented these workers to the U.S. government as volunteers. Sure. They had to sign a bunch of documents, often in English. They didn't speak English. And they were instructed to tell anybody who asked, but especially U.S. embassy workers, that they were skilled carvers or maybe decorative painters. Right. But instead, when they arrived at the work site, and also none of these people were skilled carvers or decorative painters, they were forced to do manual labor, working 13-hour days, lifting large stones, operating cranes and other heavy machinery, building roads and storm sewers, digging ditches, shoveling snow, all for roughly $450 a month.
Whoa! What a fantastic wage.
They were paid $50 in cash, and the rest was deposited into an account for them in India. They were provided housing and some trailers, and they were allowed to eat potatoes and lentils as their entire diet. They were also...
that sounds healthy. That's a healthy, good diet.
Their pay was often docked for minor violations, and their passports were confiscated, and they were confined to the fenced-in and guarded site, and they could not talk to visitors or actual religious volunteers. And a group caught wind to this, and the U.S. Department of, I don't know who showed up. Some officials showed up, and whisked the workers away, and people are facing charges, and consequences will be had because obviously forced labor
because they were running
a bad
slavery
thing.
ring.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to do that anymore.
The name of this group, and I am going to attempt this, so bear with me. The Bacha Saniwazi Ashkar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sanstha, or better known as BAPS. They've got close ties to the current ruling party in India. They build temples around the world, and they, at least at this one site, they've exploited possibly hundreds of low caste men. This is the important part. These are members of the Dalit community, by and large.
Those are the untouchables.
Yeah. And so obviously members of a much higher caste, in fact, aren't the religious folks, like the highest caste.
The Brahmin caste.
The Brahmin caste.
That's
it's
the
one of the
priest
highest.
caste.
Yeah.
That's the highest caste. Yeah.
That is the highest one. Yeah, they have no problem with exploiting some workers as
they're
you do.
barely even human.
Yeah, well, they're, I mean, this is a long tradition of exploitation. And
to be clear, the caste system was supposed to be abolished.
Right.
Like, that was a Gandhi thing.
Yeah.
It didn't take. The abolition didn't really take. So.
Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of a
nice.
horrifying story.
Well, and it sounds like
at the hands of religion.
I'm glad that they caught them here in the U.S. It sounds like they're doing this all over the world. It sounds like this is a thing.
Oh yeah,
this
I'm
is
sure.
This is just their shtick.
Yeah.
So great, nice.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to take us back to a good old American institution. This is the Saddleback Church, which is one of the largest Southern Baptist churches in the country.
Yeah.
This thing is huge. They're based out of California.
Yeah.
Which, that means something's wrong with them. Goddamn Californians, you can't even call yourself Southern. Anyway, they are part of the Southern Baptist Convention. And the Southern Baptist Convention is very clear about several of their main points. You know what I mean? Like they have guidelines for all of their churches. But the big churches every now and then just decide to go rogue, and Saddleback has gone rogue.
Oh boy.
This is Rick Warren's church, by the way.
Oh.
For those who remember the name Rick Warren. He's a big time dude. So anyway, Saddleback has done the unthinkable.
Oh no.
And actually ordained 3 women pastors.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How?
I know.
Don't they know that's wrong?
They do know that's wrong. It has been made clear to them many, many times over. And yet they done it anyway, which is kind of shocking. So there has been reprisal. There has been anger from all sides.
Not anger.
Yeah. Albert Mohler, who's the president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, said, quote, said that calling a woman a pastor, any woman a pastor, is, quote, at best unwise and confusing. I would love to hear what he thinks it is at worst. Because something tells me he is very disappointed by it.
I don't know. This confuses me. Like, what did you say? I just can't wrap my head around it.
Say it again. Now, you're saying she's a woman, right? A woman. And you're trying to apply the word pastor. It's like you can't do it. It's water and oil. You can't mix them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, that's
other prominent Southern Baptists have also come out in no uncertain terms saying that it is absolutely not acceptable.
Oh, wow. Just, the idea of it, right?
Yeah.
Why would a woman want to be a pastor in the Baptist church? That's what confuses me.
That's why Beth Moore, who was a big deal with them, left. Eventually she was like, oh yeah, you guys hate me. I think I might have figured something out here. And boy, do they turn to that scripture I think it's in Galatians that just says, women shall keep quiet and not preach. So yeah, there's a lot of, there's a longstanding, obviously tradition of women not being clergy. But man, yeah, they hold to that very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Let me figure out who said it. This is what's his name, Greer. J.D. Greer, who's the president of the Southern Baptist Convention. And he was not okay. He said, the Summit Church he's referring to his own church, is unashamedly and uncompromisingly complementarian. And what that means is that the roles of men and women are not the same, but are complementary.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice way of saying, hell no, women can't do what men do.
Right.
What's more, he says, we consider the complementarian position not merely a box to be checked, but rather a biblical truth to be celebrated. Oh. Above all, we believe that God's word is good and trustworthy, and that his design for the church will stand throughout time and prosper the church now and always. We need godly, strong women to step up and
know their place
and use the gifts that God has given them. And you see it coming. We need these women in the home, speaking courage into their families' lives. Get back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You don't
uppity
get to...
woman.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean...
The gifts that God gave women are different than those that they gave men. Obviously. So I mean, can a woman even speak in front of a crowd of humans? Is that
I've
even
never
possible?
seen it done.
Can't be done.
No, never seen it.
Can't be done. I don't know what they're thinking.
Inspiring people, leading
Right?
people, nah.
Nope.
Nope.
Woman can't inspire me. I refuse.
Unless she's cooking dinner.
Yeah.
All right.
Or, I mean, if she's good looking, maybe.
All right, Dan. I've got some good news out of Germany.
What?
Of Catholic bishops and priests going rogue.
Oh my God! Everybody's going rogue right now.
I know, it's crazy.
That's the title of this week's show. Going rogue.
That might actually be.
Yeah.
Yeah. The as you will recall, Dan, not too long ago, the Vatican actually came out with a statement that made sure that it was clarifying the church's stance on same-sex marriage, and saying that the church does not bless the marriages, the unions of same-sex couples.
Right.
Right.
They're not even saying we don't do same-sex marriages. Like we all know you don't do the same-sex marriages. They were saying, like, we won't even wave our hands in a cross-like figure in front of a same-sex marriage.
Right.
We won't even pray that Jesus be nice to them.
But surprisingly, that is something, though, that gay and lesbian couples have been seeking from the Catholic Church. I guess I should say Catholic gay and lesbian couples.
Right.
Which also... What? But
well, because, you know, all any child of abusive parents wants is approval of those parents. So
don't say it. God, when you say it like that, Dan.
You're telling me that the Catholic Church is not the equivalent of an abusive parent to LGBT people?
You just brought it all down for me.
Well, bring it back up again. You said the story's a good story.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a good story. Yeah, so these priests, there's this movement in Germany called Love Wins.
Okay.
And the movement has emerged since March, when the Catholic Church said that God cannot bless sin, right?
Right.
And they have about 100 Catholic churches now throughout the country that are going to be offering blessings to same-sex couples.
What?
And they flat out are doing this in defiance of Rome, of the Vatican. And they say that the church's decision to deny same-sex couples blessings was a slap in the face for people around the world. And the observers of this situation say that, the Catholic Church in Germany is obviously more liberal than
apparently
Rome and the Vatican, and it's also very wealthy.
Because the last pope was German, and he wasn't more liberal.
Well, yeah, exactly. But they also are pointing out that it's a more wealthy organization than in most countries, and that their overall acceptance of gay couples is going to be very hard for the Vatican to ignore. Yeah. And so there's going to be some sort of something. I mean, the article doesn't speculate about whether the Vatican is going to take a punitive stance, or if they're going to just sort of look the other way, or what they think is going to happen.
Well,
right?
Listen, it's not like some rebellious priest in Germany taking issue with what's happening in Rome has ever turned out like a big deal before.
Yeah, right.
It's not like that's ever happened. So
Martin Luther, we're looking at you.
We should be fine. Everything should be just fine. What if there was a schism?
Another schiz?
What if they schizzed? I would love that.
That would be amazing.
Like the gay schism?
The new Reformation?
Yeah.
The second Reformation?
The sexual Reformation?
Ooh.
Sexy.
Sign me up.
Right? I like it. All right. Well, speaking of a new and reformed and whatever, I'm going to close this out with a story about a new bishop in the Lutheran world. This is the ELCA, which is the what is the ELCA? It's the I'm sure I've got it here somewhere. Sorry, everybody. It's the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Okay, whew. Got it.
You barely got that in before an edit would have to have taken place.
I know. We're desperately trying not to edit because we're recording a little later in the week than we normally do, and Frank doesn't need extra work. Anyway, there has been a new bishop elected in the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and that's normal. There are lots of new bishops. That happens all the time. This bishop, Reverend Megan Rohrer, stands out a bit because they are trans.
Oh, wow.
This is the first trans bishop.
In the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America?
Yeah.
Are they using the word evangelical differently?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
They're not like evangelical Christians.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it won't surprise you to learn that this is the Sierra Pacific Synod of the ELCA.
Okay. Right.
Them damn Californians again.
Northwest liberals. Oh, in California.
Yeah, I think this is actually California.
Sierra. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, but yeah, apparently everybody there's on board. Everybody's happy about it.
Well, cool.
And yeah, this is a pretty groundbreaking moment for obviously it's groundbreaking for Megan Rohrer, for Bishop Rohrer, but yeah, like just the concept of, honestly, if Saddleback thinks that they're cool for making women pastors, I got news for you. You're behind the curve, everybody. Because now there's a they/them pronouned bishop.
Wow.
So take that to the bank, y'all.
Which means that they were already a pastor working in the church. Yeah.
Yeah. They have been they've been a reverend for quite a long time and have been sort of working their way up, and now they are a bishop.
Fantastic. Well, good. And we're going to be talking. This is the topic for the second half of the show, which is good.
Yeah,
it is good. It is good.
How great? Question mark. We think maybe. Anyway, we'll discuss that more. But But it's a hell of a news item.
Yeah.
And some weird shit's happening in the world. So if you have anything you'd like to say about this or any of our stories today, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We've got more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
It's loony bin time on Thank God I'm Atheist.
Let's reach into the bin and pull us out a loony.
And we've got a good one, Dan.
This is a guy named Bishop Larry Gators, who we had a few clips to choose from because he's taken some strong positions. We're not going to be playing the clip where he assures us that Tom Hanks, Joe Biden, and Bill and Hillary Clinton are all dead and have been replaced by clones, and that Donald Trump is fine and surrounded and has Air Force One and is surrounded by military in Mar-a-Lago and
has the nuclear codes, everybody, because that's it.
And
that's
is
what we
still
want.
the president.
And still, yeah.
Even though the Joe Biden clone is doing effectively is quite effectively undoing so many of Trump's policies, but it's all a long con. Don't worry about it. But this is where he's going to tell us some stuff about. Part of this is just sort of how Joe Biden got to where he is, even though he's a clone. Which don't try to make sense of it. Just enjoy.
Now, Beau Biden, who passed away supposedly of brain cancer. Now, my two contacts in the FBI said that was a lie. Beau Biden was a sacrifice for the political rise of his father. Just like the first wife of Joe Biden, Nelia Hunter Biden, was a satanic sacrifice going back to 1972 that will give way for the rise of the political career of one Joe Biden.
Did everybody get that?
Yeah, it's just downright unbelievably offensive. It's horrible. It's like
that, or it's obvious once you think about it that it's true.
It's like, oh,
yeah, exactly. Take the worst things that have happened to the man, and let's just turn them around as being just satanic sacrifices. I think all it makes is sense. Yeah,
I really struggle to wrap my head around like where things have arrived in this country, right? Like, and the show that he's on is just like this. It's a QAnon conspiracy show, right?
Right.
And I've seen the woman that's in. Yeah. I don't know where. I think she's been on like the Coach Dave show or something.
Yeah, or something.
But anyway, it like they just can't. Like, why? Like, they have to dehumanize everybody, right? Who's not there
and satanize
and
everybody.
Satanize, right? Like, nobody can just be a person who disagrees and is acting, in a way that they believe is good and decent,
right?
And pursuing policies that they believe are for the betterment of the country, right? Like, you can't be that. That's not allowed. Right, in their world. If you disagree with them, you're a Satanist or whatever. Or you're dead. You're a clone, right?
Right.
Or you're a lizard person. Or you're whatever it is. Like, it's like is it that their ideas are so weak that they just have to run to this? Is it like, what is it? Like, why do they have to? And they just do it. They just go to this place. It makes me crazy.
I think these people have been sent to us, to all of us educated liberal types, to take us down a peg and let us realize, no, the species that you're a part of is not very good. Like, you think you're great. I get it.
Yeah.
You're not. You're part of the same species as all of these ding-dongs.
Yeah.
You've made all of this scientific advancement over the past century or so.
Yeah.
It still leads to this. So let's all keep our heads small and have some humility.
Yeah.
Because humanity sucks.
Do we really want to, like, go out into the stars? Right? Do we really want to, like, inflict us upon unsuspecting, civilizations?
Yeah.
That might exist out there?
It's not going to look like what Gene Roddenberry thought it was going to look like.
No.
Us with all of our high and mighty ideals trying to go and spread the good news about being nice to everybody. That's not what it's going to be. All right. Well, we had some folks write into us. Robert, our friend Robert, wrote into us. Hi, Frank and Dan. I wanted to point out to you a little unofficial, but by now international holiday event called Loving Day, celebrated by tens of thousands, if not more. It celebrates something that seems whatever, but could land you in jail prior to 1967.
Wow.
That is, to be in a relationship with someone of a different race.
Oh.
My friend Ken, who is biracial, started celebrating this almost 20 years ago, and it grew into an international event. Why is this important? Well, prior to the Supreme Court ruling, that would be Loving versus Virginia? Was that what it was?
I don't remember the state, but sounds good.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But prior to the Supreme Court ruling, me and my wife, this is Robert saying, me and my wife could have been sent to prison just by driving through the wrong state.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy Loving Day, everybody. I didn't catch on to that, but it's definitely worth celebrating.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's good. Mike wrote in, guys, just listened to your discussion about how you could spend every episode cataloging and discussing religious leaders and their ethical, legal, and often sexual misadventures. So true. As a member of the FFRF, I have been receiving their, quote, Free Thought Today newsletter for years. They've been doing the legwork for you already. The, quote, black-collar crime feature has a mind-numbing number of stories every month chronicling sexual abuse, financial misappropriation, and any number of other ways that religious leaders have taken advantage of their positions.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, Mike. Yeah. And they're just scratching the surface, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's disheartening. Okay, so this person writes in to say, hey, Frank and Dan. Oh, this is from Craig. I was listening to the last episode, and when an ex-Lutheran called in, thought I might share some fun tidbits about one of the other big Lutheran denominations. You remember this, Frank?
Yeah.
Someone called in and did not know what her own religion was, and then you explained about what was the Missouri Synod.
I mean, yeah. I don't know much about them. I just know that they're lunatics,
Yeah. So Craig says, you guys mentioned the Missouri Synod being total nut jobs, but they're actually considered pretty moderate in comparison to the denomination I was raised in.
Oh,
the
dear
Wisconsin
Lord.
Evangelical Lutheran Synod, WELS for short, is what my family attended for the majority of my childhood, and where my parents are still members. And boy, are they lovely. I haven't been part of the WELS in close to a decade, so some of this might have changed. But some of their stances include, and I've edited this for length. Women can't be pastors, can't lead classes in which adult men are present, and aren't even allowed to vote in church matters. Each household gets a vote, but a single or unmarried woman doesn't count as a household.
Oh, God.
They're very sexually repressive, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that bread and wine literally become the body and blood of Jesus during communion, while also still being bread and wine. They believe the Pope is actually the Antichrist.
Oh, good. Yeah.
They are young Earth creationists and big on Ken Ham, as in they had the entire Answers in Genesis series and tons of his books in the church library available to rent. You get the idea. They're basically your run-of-the-mill super right-wing church, but with a slightly different name. So thanks for that, Craig.
Yeah.
So apparently there's a spectrum of Lutheranism, all the way from trans bishops straight to, Missouri and Wisconsin, which are apparently a little less forward thinking.
Indeed.
Hey, we had some folks give unto us.
We
of
did.
Of their coffers.
We did
And
indeed.
so
Dan.
we have some folks to thank. I'm going to start us off with James, who very kindly gave us some money on PayPal, and now I bless you, James, with the Aaronic priesthood. You are now a deacon. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. And we have 4 new patrons over on Patreon. We have a new deacon by the name of Bisingular. We have 3 new teachers, Scoopy, Ivan, and Georgie. So thank you to the 3 of you. And I'd like to point something out here, which is 3 of these 4 patrons actually came in on non-US dollar donations. That's something that you can do. There are multiple currencies that are available on Patreon. And then, but that also brings up an issue, which is, most of our listeners are in the U.S. So just so you know, guys, like our foreign listeners way outdid you this week. Shame on the American listeners,
on our U.S. listeners.
And
I think a rivalry needs to start. If you're not giving to us and you live in a country, start giving so that you're representing your country well.
Well, let me tell you,
that's
Australia does really well.
Yeah,
Australia is killing it on supporting this show.
Aussies.
So thank you guys. And if you'd like to join them, you can go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. There are a couple different ways to support the show, obviously PayPal and Patreon. And as always, Dan, we have to thank our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Austin. Dan.
Yeah.
So there are times on this show where we get a little conflicted feeling.
Just only every episode.
because we sort of gladly report stories where religious folk and religious organizations really make a change for the better.
Yeah, we call that good news.
It seems like it's good news, right? Because in effect, they are inflicting less misery on their congregations, their congregants,
it's basically,
their followers.
Hey, look, a church is slightly less of an asshole.
That's good news, everybody.
That's great. I mean, I like to celebrate when anybody's slightly less of an asshole.
Yeah.
So when a synod of the Lutheran Church decides to have a trans bishop and clearly not just accept but celebrate and put into a position of leadership, trans people, that's great.
Right.
That's got to be good, right? Except that there's this then there's this little guy in the back of my mind that's like, okay, well, that means that a bunch of liberal people who probably would have left that church eventually, as it continued its hatred,
right,
will be able to sort of continue to find cover for them and stay in the church. And I don't like that. I don't want people staying in the churches. I want them to leave the churches and, find the freedom of, reality. I just prefer when everybody kind of believes in real things.
Yeah, it is a better place. But I will take goodness and kindness, like legitimate goodness and kindness on the part of religious types, right? And people who, here's the thing that I'm not quick to deny people, which is they've found something that makes their life feel better to them.
Yeah, makes
right?
sense in some sort of way.
You know, like if you find peace amongst good people, generally good people, and it happens to be a religious community, I am not going to begrudge you that too much. It's you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but the problem is that a percentage of the time, a person seeking that kind of peace finds a group like the Sierra Pacific Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church that's going to have a trans bishop.
Right.
But then another percentage of the time, they're going to find one of these assholes down in the South who's going to convince them that the way to feel good is to make sure that you hate all the right people.
Yeah. Yeah,
If
that's true.
If it's the communion with other humans, with community that they're looking for, they can find it, and it might work out great for them.
Right.
But it might also be disastrous.
Right.
And it's almost a crapshoot as to which it ends up being.
It's true. And obviously I would much rather people find, peace outside of religion, right?
Yeah.
But life is fucking hard.
Life's
right?
hard.
And being human sometimes kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Right? It just does, right? There's complicated
a
emotional
bunch of
situations
ding-dongs.
that we find ourselves in. There's horrible people that we have to live next to.
Look, here's the thing. If in this fucked up world that we live in, someone finds a place where they feel comforted, where they feel taken care of, where they feel love,
Yeah.
it's hard to deny them that. And I wouldn't want to deny them that.
Yeah.
And if that comes from a place where they also are supposed to believe in Jeebus and, clap their hands the right way and, say the right magic words over their food every day or whatever, it's relatively harmless. It's not the best, but God, why would we deny them something that gives them any kind of comfort? I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
I think where one of the angles that we're heading toward is that it's probably a good thing to rather than to we want as many people out of the church as possible.
Yeah.
But we should definitely be applauding and applying pressure to churches to take more progressive steps, to take steps that hurt fewer people, that help more people, that are loving steps, that are steps toward kindness and generosity, rather than the other direction.
Well, and let's face it, a progressive congregation is going to, because they're doing less harm to the people that are that attend church with them, they have their tendrils in those people far less than the really damaging religions and churches do, right? Like the psychological damage that conservative religious communities impart on their followers are the things that keep the people in those communities, right? And so if there's just far less of that occurring in some congregation somewhere, I'm not too worried about the people who are members of those communities, and I'm not too concerned about those people if they decide that, hey, you know what, I'm good. I'm just going to stay home for most weeks, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe just stop attending. That it's not going to be some horrible, awful thing for that person to get out of that community, right?
Right.
And that they're not going to have to sit there and try to deprogram themselves for years to come, right?
Yeah.
Like you see in Mormonism, right?
All the high demand.
Yeah.
Yep. Like high evil religions.
Yeah. Those are the areas of great concern for me. And that, when Mormonism makes it slightly easier for a few dozen people to stay in the church, because they say something kind of not as mean and nasty about gay people, that's probably less of a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is them continuing to manipulate and control. Like those are probably stories that we should be a little bit more careful with how we handle. But you're right. A Lutheran synod anointing or whatever, conferring, appointing some, bishop who's trans, that feels like something to celebrate. Yeah.
That's beyond just love the sinner but hate the sin. That is actually like we fully accept and honor this human.
Right. Which feels like a pretty good place for them to be coming from and to be as a group. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I have to see a distinction there. I have to see that there's a difference.
I think so. I think absolutely. And I think we should celebrate when a bunch of German priests decide to rebel against the Pope. I think shit like that is a big deal, and it means that society's going in a good direction, even though the pushback will be harsh and ferocious.
Yeah,
the direction we're headed is still the correct direction.
Yeah,
and obviously religion's always several steps behind the world. But I think for the most part it's great. I'm a fan. Those things. I think we can safely take happy comfort in those moments.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think we're more humanists, Dan, than we let on.
How dare you? Don't label me. I don't fit into your box.
No, I know. I'm just so comfortable with being atheist, right? That like,
well, those aren't exclusive. Those aren't mutually exclusive concepts.
I know, obviously. And I have no problem with the idea of being humanist. I don't go all the way that they go, and I feel so comfortable in my worldview as an atheist. But anyway, I can't see any. There is obviously still some harm, like you hinted to earlier, which is some belief in mysticism and a little bit of magical thinking has to be there, right? Because they are religious. It's not Unitarian Universalism, for crying out loud, right? Like,
which even them, there's space for magic thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of Unitarianism has to be that we're just creating space for you to have your own magical thinking rather than for us to tell you what the magic is.
Right.
And I find magical thinking harmful, just sort of as a concept.
Yeah, I know. So they're not 100% off the hook, but they're a lot off the hook. Is that kind of where we're at? Is it
they're definitely off of a couple of the hooks? They the more hooks we can get them off of, the happier I am. So let's just keep removing hooks, and eventually they'll realize, oh, we were hooked. We were on hooks this whole time. And
the
maybe
Frank and Dan hooks.
Yeah,
which are the ones they should be worried about.
Yes, indeed. Well, friends, if you have thoughts about this, if you think we're wrong and we should be only pushing for everybody to leave religion. Or, if you have any thoughts, please feel free to write them to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button. That helps us out a little bit.
And if you'd like to join one of our 2 members-only lounges, go to thankgodimatheist.com/members only, and there's a link to the Facebook community, and there's a link to our new Discord community, which is growing.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. It's
thriving, I would say. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music,
and thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you friends for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.